Hello, my beautiful lovelies. Hi, it's Emmy. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be testing this. And this tool is a homemade jerky gun. Actually, it's the Weston Original Jerky Gun Jr. So I imagine that there is a larger size. This is the junior size. And this little gadget was sent to me by viewer Whitney. Thank you so much, Whitney, for sending this to me. She sent me this entire box right here. And she found this at her local thrift store where I find all of my vintage treasures. And here it is. The gun goes here. I have an attachment on here already. A pair of brushes, a funnel, a little plunger, and various attachments to make different size jerkies. And Whitney also included this, and this is the seasoning packets. This contains the seasoning packets to flavor your jerky. It comes in 3 different flavors: peppered, honey barbecue, and mesquite. It also contains a cure, which is a powder that contains nitrites, which keeps your jerky nice and bright pink. Since each one of these packets is enough for 5 pounds of meat, and I was just doing 1 pound of meat, I did a little bit of math and I weighed out 12 grams, which is 1/5 of 60 grams, which is what the weight of each one of these packets was. That'll make more sense when I actually show you how to do this. The first thing, you want to have an impeccably clean machine. I ran mine through the dishwasher. And then you're going to have to prepare your meats. So to your meat, add your cure and add your seasoning packet and 1 tablespoon of water. And then mix this really well. The instructions say to do this until the meat is nice and sticky. Essentially, this jerky gun is a caulking gun. Caulk. C-A-U-L-K. Caulk. And you press this little release and you pull the plunger back. And that allows you to fill the shaft with your meat. So the easiest way I found to fill the chamber was to make little balls of meat and give them a little squeeze so they fit easily down the chamber. You don't want to trap any air in there, because even when you use the plunger, it's really difficult to get the meat all the way back there because you've got an air pocket in there. So once you've got your meat in the chamber, you're going to put the end back on with the nozzle of your liking. And then you're going to pump the trigger until the plunger hits the meat. So you just pump, 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 exactly like a caulking gun. So next we're ready to extrude. You're gonna have a cookie sheet and then have a rack. This will aid in drying. And then you just squeeze gently while pulling the gun towards you, and the meat will come out in nice little rows. So once you have your meat all laid out on your tray, place it into a preheated 180-degree oven, and you're going to put it in there for about an hour. You want to keep the door of the oven ajar a little bit. I just use a little pot holder so the moisture can kind of evaporate out. And then after an hour, give it a flip, and then every half an hour, give it a flip and just check on it. You'll start to see little beads of fat collect on the jerky, and it's going to shrink significantly. And you'll know when the jerky is done when it looks dry, but it still remains pliant. You want it to be flexible. And here is the finished jerky. These narrower ones, the turkey ones, cooked a little bit faster. So these cooked in about an hour and 45 minutes, while these thicker ones took more about 2 hours and 15 minutes. These ones cooked about 2 hours. And I have to say that extruding little beautiful neat rows of meat was very, very satisfying, and kind of reminded me of like my Play-Doh days when you had that Play-Doh extruder and you just squeeze the Play-Doh out and it came out in nice little tubes. So satisfying. All right, so enough of that. Let's go ahead and give these a taste. And this one is the mesquite beef jerky, and I use the single kind of tubular one. Let me bend it and show you what the texture's like. So completely dry in the middle, but a little bit soft. Here we go. Itadakimasu. And that's pretty good. It tastes like something you would buy in the store. Quite salty, but it is beef jerky. That's how you preserve meat. But it has a really great texture to it too. Nice little chew, not overly dry. Quite similar to a Slim Jim, but you don't have that casing on the outside, that snapping action that you have, which I adore. You don't have that, but the texture inside is quite similar. A bit like pepperoni. And the flavor of this is quite nice too. It's smoky, but it doesn't taste like artificial bacon smoke or liquid smoke. It's quite nice, I like that. Let's try this one next. This is the turkey jerky, and this is in the honey barbecue flavor. This one too is pretty flexible, and when we tear it, that's what it looks like inside. This one to me looks a little bit more like a dog treat, but let's give that a go. That's got a good flavor too. The honey barbecue flavor isn't too sweet, which I was a little bit worried about. Just a little bit sweet, and it tastes very similar to those cans of beef jerky that you can get, and they're wrapped in plastic. Very similar texture and flavor. The flavor of the meat is a little bit lighter, which is not surprising since this is turkey. This tastes a little bit more like lunch meat to me, or a little bit like ham, but equally good. Lastly, I have this one, and this is the double extruded flat nozzle, and this one is quite pliant as well, and this is the peppered beef jerky. Let's give that one a go. I like the texture of this one. This one is very reminiscent of those beef jerkies that came in a can that were shrink wrapped. Do they even make those anymore? Both in texture and both in flavor. Very, very similar. This has, of course, a lot of black pepper in it, so there's a tiny bit of kind of warmth to that and lots of black pepper flavor. Again, this is quite salty, but it is beef jerky and tastes exactly like something you would buy from a store. Yum. I was very happy about how this worked. It worked beautifully. The build quality is very good. Although everything is plastic, it is very, very sturdy and worked exactly as it said it would. So final thoughts on homemade jerky making. It's super fun, very, very satisfying, but very, very labor intensive. And it does use a good amount of energy as well. So I think the only way to make this economically feasible is if you are a hunter and you had loads of meat that you had to process, then this would be a no-brainer. Whitney, thank you so much for your generosity and for sending this to me. It was an absolute pleasure to make a homemade jerky. I've always wanted to do it. So yeah, and thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. I hope you guys learned something. Please share this video with your friends and follow me on social media. And yeah, I shall see you in my next video. Toodaloo, take care, bye!